Imagine being arrested today, not because of something you've done, but because an AI says you will commit murder tomorrow. No evidence, no intent, just certainty. Sounds like science fiction, but parts of this idea already exist today. The real question is, how close is science to being able to predict a future crime before it happens? In the recently released sci-fi film Mercy with Chris Pratt, there is a future where violent crime has been eliminated by an AI justice system. The system doesn't predict risk, it doesn't estimate probability, it claims absolute certainty. Today we're going to break this idea apart using real science. We're going to look at how prediction actually works, why AI certainty is a myth, and how films like Mercy, Minority Report, and real-world AI all approach this very differently. Because the scariest part of this story isn't the technology, it's what happens when we trust it too much. In everyday language, prediction sounds simple. We predict rain, we predict traffic, we predict outcomes. But scientifically, prediction means something very specific. It means the estimating of the likelihood of future states based on incomplete information. And that's important because prediction is never certainty. Even weather forecasts built on massive physics models and massive data sets only works within probabilities. A large proportion of the world's top 20 fastest supercomputers are dedicated to predicting the weather, and yet a 10-day forecast is only 50% accurate. That's essentially the same as a flip of the coin. And the atmosphere follows deterministic laws. Humans do not. So, why does sci-fi keep pretending that we're predictable? Minority Report solves prediction in the most sci-fi way possible, because it removes uncertainty entirely. The future already exists. You can see it. That means prediction is actually observation. Crime prevention is actually intervention. And free will is questionable. But here's what Minority Report does brilliantly. It introduces alternative futures. The existence of Minority Reports acknowledges something crucial. Human behaviour can diverge at the last moment. That single idea makes Minority Report much more honest than any AI-based sci-fi story, because it admits the future isn't locked. The film Mercy replaces psychics from Minority Report with an AI justice system. No visions, no prophecy, just data. And that system claims 100% certainty over future crimes. From a scientific standpoint, this is where everything breaks, because AI does not predict events. It predicts patterns using historical data. Patterns are not destiny. If an AI trained on past divorces predicted your divorce, does that make it inevitable? Modern AI prediction is fundamentally statistical. Models learn correlations, they optimize probabilities. AI models minimize error across populations. What they don't do is understand intent. They do not understand meaning, and they certainly do not understand morality. Crucially, they are terrible at rare events, and murder is a rare event. This creates a massive problem, which in science we call the base rate fallacy. Even a highly accurate model will produce enormous amounts of false positives when the event is rare, which means that in reality, most people flagged as being future murderers would be innocent. One of the biggest misunderstandings about AI is confidence. Humans assume that if a system sounds confident, it must be right. In reality, AI models are often overconfident. This is called a confidence miscalibration. The model doesn't know it's wrong. It simply outputs the highest probability it can. Mercy's AI doesn't just make a mistake, it believes that it can't. And now we come to the most realistic, but also the most disturbing idea in Mercy. In the sci-fi film Mercy, the AI intervenes. Once someone is flagged, the surveillance increases, the enforcement escalates, the stress skyrockets, and the choices narrow. This is what we call an algorithmic feedback loop. First prediction, then intervention, then escalation, then validation. At that point, the AI isn't forecasting crime, it's manufacturing conditions where violence becomes more likely. If an AI causes the crime it predicted, was its prediction still right? Predictive systems already exist today. They analyse things like locations, networks, historical arrest data. But notice what they don't do. They don't predict individual intent. They don't claim certainty. They don't remove the final human judgment entirely. Even so, even with this limited subject areas and the limitations of these systems and what they already show, there is still in these systems bias amplification, feedback loops, and a reduced amount of trust. The movie Mercy simply removes the brakes on these things. Human brains are noisy systems. Decision-making involves competing neural pathways, emotional interference, random fluctuations, and last-second inhibitions. Tiny changes can produce wildly different outcomes. This is true chaos theory in action. Even perfect data cannot predict chaotic systems with certainty, which makes a crime-predicting AI not just unethical, but physically and scientifically implausible. So, let's put Minority Report, Mercy, and real-world AI side by side and do a comparison. First, Minority Report. It admits uncertainty. It allows alternative futures, but it does rely on an impossible precognition. Let's look at Mercy. That nails the algorithmic feedback loops. It explores AI overreach, but it does fail a bit on scientifically on the things like uncertainty. Now let's look at real AI in the real world. That uses probability. It accepts uncertainty, but it still struggles a lot with bias and misuse. Unfortunately, the most realistic version is probably also the least comforting one. The real danger isn't AI predicting crime. It's us believing that prediction means certainty. Because the moment punishment happens before intent, justice stops being justice and becomes automation. So, would you trust an AI that said you'd commit a crime tomorrow? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this episode, subscribe for more real science behind sci-fi.